In this video, I'm going to be sharing with you why I don't celebrate New Year's Eve, and instead I operate with the seasons, with the moon, with the cycles, and where that comes from. Now, we live in a world where everyone is celebrating on the 31st of December, calling in the new year, and particularly in Europe, right? And in the UK, where I'm from Ireland is my ancestry. It's traditional nowadays to get together, have a big party, and set New Year's resolutions for the year ahead. Now, it doesn't feel natural in our bodies to do that, does it? Because in the Northern Hemisphere at this time of year, it's extremely dark, it's extremely cold. And the last thing you want to be doing, really, if you tune into your body, is to be going out and being external and sharing your energy and all of that stuff. Actually, if you really tune in, what we're being guided to do is to hibernate. So, I want to talk a little bit about the Gregorian calendar and how that differs to our ancient calendar, the Celtic wheel of the year, and living according to the divine feminine goddess and the lunar cycle. Okay. Now, what we operate on now is the 12 months. We've got, January through to December, and it follows the sun. Now, the sun is the way that this is formulated is by how long it takes for the rotation around the sun. Now, the sun energy is actually masculine. It rise and fall with the sun every day, and everything in our society, in our patriarchal society, is formulated around this. Now, this was beneficial when we had the Industrial Revolution and we had the development of technology, and we live in cities where time doesn't seem to exist and we're not actually connected to the seasons or connected to what's going on in the cosmos, because we've got all this artificial light and commercialism, capitalism, which is going up, 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 up in a straight line, and it's consuming all of the Earth's resources. And so this calendar, the Gregorian calendar, which was actually created by the Pope in the 1500s, replaced the ancient form of calendar, which was more in harmony with the lunar cycle. The lunar cycle, 13 moons, because there's 13 full moons in 1 year, is very much oriented around the feminine energy. But if you're wanting to continuously go, produce, then connecting with the feminine energy, which is a spiral, there is a time to expand, but there's also a time of descent and a time of rest. It wasn't, they weren't feeling it. It wasn't helpful for, creating more civilization, more of what we see today with technology and building up cities and so on. And so they replaced it with this 12-month calendar. And when we did that, it truly severed our civilization, our communities away from our natural rhythms, and also away from our connection with the earth and our inner feminine, because we have a connection to the feminine, right? Regardless of whether we are a woman or a man. Now, the effects of that we can see in the world around us. It is okay. So what happens on the 31st of January? Capitalism absolutely loves it, because all of the events, all of the beauty industry for the women going out, so many things in the system, in the matrix, if you like, are benefiting from these moments in the Gregorian calendar. Similar for things like Valentine's Day and even Christmas. It's all feeding into keeping the machine alive. Now, let's backtrack a little bit. Before this, before the patriarchy, there was in ancient civilizations in Egypt, in Celtic landscapes where my ancestors were, in different parts of the world, and actually still in some parts of the world, remarkably, where the calendar is it was very much oriented around the cycles. Okay, so the effect of that was, if they knew where they were in space because of the full moon, it was important for them to know that. They understood what that meant for their crops, for the animals, for themselves, the energies moving through. It was beneficial for the fishermen to know about the tides and how that was connected to the moon. And also, women's bodies were revered as sacred temples, and our menstrual blood and our ability to connect with our cycle, our cyclical wisdom, and live according to our cycle was seen as an integral and holy part of the way that we lived. And so when everything was destroyed in terms of the goddess temples and the worship and that way of living according to the land and the cycles, it was also a severing from the feminine. So guess what? How do we start to reclaim the feminine now? Because there's so many women waking up and men waking up to, wow, what's been going on in this, it's not serving us. We need to have an alternative way of living. So the reason I personally don't celebrate New Year's Eve is because for me, it's not the new year. There are 13 moons. And so that means there's an extra one. And in the Celtic pantheon and within the Celtic wheel of the year, right? Particularly with the Irish Celtic mythology, which is what I'm really interested in. It is the beginning of February with the Sabbat of Imbolc, where the beautiful Irish goddess of Brigid with her red hair brings her flame. She's a fertility goddess and poetry of art, of beauty and the water. And so she brings back this flame of the sun. And this is where we start to see the rise of the sun coming back. So there's different points in the wheel where you can have this sense of a new beginning. Another one is Samhain, so Halloween. This is actually known as the Witches' New Year, because this is where we begin, where things begin again and the veil is thin and we can connect with the unconscious. So my invitation to you, if nothing else from this video, is that you open up your possibilities about the way that things are structured in our society and why they are the way they are. And if it resonates with you to celebrate New Year's Eve, then go for it. It's a great way to start afresh if it feels authentic for you. But what I'll be doing personally is resting and dreaming in the darkness, which is what our ancestors will be doing by the fire, and getting ready for the year ahead and getting really intentional with that space. And it takes a lot of inner strength and resources to follow your own path, to follow this as a spiritual practice, especially if everyone around you isn't doing that, right? We want to be part of the pack and we want to feel like we belong. But if you're curious about it, you could perhaps gather, and you still wanted to have like a gathering and to feel like it's March, you could gather some friends, for example, and share some stories around the fire. One of my favorite practices to do during this time of year is shamanic drum journeying, where I go into my womb space or go up into the upper realm or the lower realm, and to really call in a vision for the next cycle, so that when Brigid comes with her flame at the beginning of February, that I know exactly what it is that I want to create,